So today we are going to explore our skeletal system, and we are going to draw a skeleton in action. So step one, I am going to fold my paper like this. And if you have your black paper still at home, use your black paper and a white crayon for this lesson. If you do not, hey, just use whatever you got, even if it's a notebook paper with pencil. I'll take it. So the reason that I folded my paper in half is because I want to make sure that my drawing is in proportion. Proportion is one of our art words for this lesson, and proportion is how things are related according to their size. So if you look at my hand, you can see that my fingers are all proportionate. I don't have one super long finger like way out to here and then one short finger. They're all in proportion. They're the correct size for my hand. Have you ever been doing a drawing where you start a drawing and by the time you get to the bottom you don't have enough room for the legs? This will ensure that you have enough room for the legs. So we're going to start by drawing our hips, and we're going to draw it above this crease. If you want to fold this under to help you know that you're drawing on this half, you can, but be careful because if you fold it like this, well, I guess you could always flip it that way. That would work. So I'm going to draw my hips right here above this crease. I'm going to start there so I know I have enough room for my legs. All right, so for the hips, I'm just doing a shape that looks kind of like a butterfly or a cartoon ear. All right, and I'm not going to be super picky about how well this is drawn. I just want you to try your best. I know that when we're drawing with crayons, that it's really hard to correct errors. So you just kind of do your best at this point. So I'm going to color it in. Those are my hip bones. And if you want to know what the real name for this is, we would call it a pelvis. And we are going to label our bones as we draw because this is kind of an art lesson squished together with a science lesson. So I'm going to label it P-E-L-V-I-S. Okay, that's my pelvis. And I'm going to do a couple of little squares above that for my spine. So we've got our hip bones or our pelvis, and we're going to draw our rib cage next. So I've got a little trick for you for that. I'm going to draw what looks like a trapezoid or a cup, like a cup you would drink out of. I'm going to draw it really lightly like that. And then I can fill it in with my ribs in a minute. I'm also going to add a few other extra bones here too. So the first bone I'm going to start with way at the tippy top. I'm going to do a bone right here and one on the other side. And that is your clavicle, and I'll label that in a minute. I'm not going to label that until I draw my arm because it's going to get in the way. So we're going to label in just a bit. I'm going to draw here what looks almost like an elongated rhombus, or like the lower part of a tie that a person would wear. So rhombus, we got a math term in there too. And that's your sternum. Color that in. And then that's what you're going to attach your ribs to. So then your ribs will come from the outer part of this trapezoid in like that at a little bit of a curve. See how that looks? And it makes them look nice and neat and tidy. Okay, so go ahead and add your ribs. And we will be labeling all these in just a minute. We're going to sit tight on the labeling, like I said, so we can get our arms drawn. We don't want our labeling to get in the way of our arms. So I've got my ribs, and you can see it's already starting to look very much like a skeleton. Add one little line there for my spine going up through my ribs. All right, so we got a pretty good looking skeletal body started. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my bone that's in the upper part of my arms, and that's called a humerus. And I want my skeleton to be dancing, so I'm going to put one line going up as if one arm's going to be up and one going down. And yours can both go up or both go down, however you want your skeleton to be dancing. Now I need to turn this into a bone. So for my humerus, I'm going to add like two little nodules or two little knots on the end and make it a little bit thicker. And then a little ball on the end there. Okay, so now it's starting to look more like a bone. Just a little trick to help it look more like that. And again, I will label my humerus in just a second. I want to make sure I have enough room for everything. Next, I will put a little tiny dot here and here, and that is my elbow. Now we've only drawn half of our arm. Sometimes kids get confused and they think, well, do I put my hand here? Nope, because you need to do the lower part of this arm. We did the upper part up here. That's where the humerus is, and we're going to draw this part of our arm now, which is going to be the same length as that. So when I draw the lower part of my arm, it is as long as the upper part. I want to make sure that I do it. And a little art teacher trick that you can do to make sure it's correct is you can kind of measure and say like, oh, is it the same? This one has, this lower part of your arm, it actually has 2 bones in it, 2 bones. And so make sure you're drawing 2 bones for that. Make sure that they are as long as this, so matchy-matchy, all right? And you don't really need to make these as thick because the crayon is already kind of thick for that. And then those 2 bones are called our ulna and radius, okay? So now that we have some extra room over here, we can start labeling, and then we'll get to our hands and our skull in just a second. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to label my ribs, R-I-B-S. Okay, and I want to label my clavicle. That's that very top bone. You can feel it. It's your collarbone. You can probably feel it right now. And that is a clavicle, C-L-A-V-I-C-L-E, okay, clavicle. And then that's our humerus, and you can pause this video as much as you need to make sure that you're labeling correctly. You don't need to label both sides, just one side, all right? And then remember, we have 2 bones up here. We have the ulna and the radius, so I'm going to label 2 bones here. I'm going to do ulna. Sorry, that kind of went off the edge of my page. It's U-L-N-A and radius, R-A-D-I-U-S. All right, so we've got pelvis, ribs, clavicle, humerus, ulnar, radius. Good. So the bones in our hand, we have many bones in our hand. So we're going to draw some little tiny bones that are kind of meshed together for this part of our hand, and then we'll do 3 bones for each finger. And those will just be lines because they're so small. So you've got a bone here, here, and here, 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 here. Okay, so I'm doing my little bones for my palm first. I'm just doing a series of small dots together because there's a lot of little bones in there. And then for each finger, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's 1 finger there. 1, 2, 3. There's my second finger. Looks like I'm saying peace, doesn't it? 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and then for our thumb. Okay, got it? That's how you do it. Now over here, my hands are going right off the edge of my paper, so you won't see all of mine because they're going to go right off the edge of my paper. I drew close to my edge. That happens sometimes, so just let them go off. Just let them go right off the edge if that happens. And these little bones in your fingers are phalanges. So that's P-H-A. I realized I probably should have done my skull. I need to make sure that I am not going to run out of room there. L-A-N-G-E-S. Okay, phalanges. So maybe hang off on labeling that until we draw our skull because we don't want to accidentally run into our skull. And I'm really pushing it there. So I'm going to put, and if you need to pause and catch up with me, do that anytime. I'm going to put my neck right here, a little part of my spine. You can see my spine goes all the way down. So I can pick a spot here. I think I'm going to label my spine here because I have some room to write. There we go. Look at all those awesome words we're learning today. For the skull, what I like to do is I like to do a circle first, okay, like a circle. And then I do kind of a line that comes down at an angle like that, and then across. So then you get that nice skull shape. See that? And then you're going to have a circle for each eye, a triangle for your nose, and I'm going to color around that, and I'm going to leave my eyes black like the paper and my nose black like the paper. And then what I tend to do here for fun is I just kind of do some fun teeth just to make it look creepy. So skull, S-K-U-L-L. All right, so we are halfway done, and we will finish the rest down here. So this part of the paper is done. Take a pause and catch up with me so you have all of your bones and you have all of your pieces working together and everything labeled correctly. Okay?